Have you ever stood next to a truly ancient tree and just wondered, what has this thing seen? In Taiwan, that question goes a step further. We're going to explore the incredible world of Taiwanese folk religion, where some trees aren't just scenery. They're worshipped as living, breathing gods that have been watching over their communities for centuries.
So, can a tree have a soul? It sounds like a question for a philosophy class, right? But in Taiwan, for so many people, this isn't just a thought experiment. The answer is a definite yes. And it's not a metaphor. It's a deep spiritual belief that turns a piece of nature into a neighbor, a guardian, and even a god. So, how does that work? Well, it all comes down to a core belief called animism. In Mandarin, it's Wan Wu You Ling, which beautifully translates to all things have a spirit. It's the idea that everything in the natural world, from rivers and rocks to, you guessed it, ancient trees, possesses its own soul, its own divine essence. And that worldview is really the key that unlocks this entire tradition.
Okay, so you might be thinking, great, does that mean any tree in my backyard could become a deity? Well, not quite. In Taiwanese folk tradition, a tree actually has to earn its divine status. There are some very specific, though unwritten rules for deification. It's kind of like a three-step checklist to become a god. First, you have to be ancient. We're talking hundreds, sometimes even 1,000 years old. You have to have seen generations of people come and go. Second, you gotta look the part. You have to be magnificent, towering with a massive trunk and sprawling branches that just radiate life and power. And third, location, location, location. It has to be in a key spot, the heart of a village, along an old trail, or a place that's seen natural disasters. It becomes a natural landmark, a silent witness to history.
So, once a tree ticks all those boxes and gets recognized by the community as a great tree god or a da shu gong, it gets a promotion and a very important job. It's no longer just a plant. It becomes a divine neighbor. And what's so fascinating is this dual role it plays. On a totally practical level, you have to remember, before modern buildings, these giant trees were the original community centers. They provided shade from the blazing sun, shelter from the rain, a place for people to gather and talk. But then there's the spiritual level. They're seen as the guardian of the land, a protector of the people, and a source of blessings for peace and prosperity.
And of course, you don't just call them that old tree. They're addressed with a ton of respect. You'll hear titles like Tree King God, the really affectionate Tree Grandfather, or sometimes they're named after their specific species, like the famous Banyan God or Tallow Tree God. All right, let's stop talking in general terms and meet a real-life superstar. We're going to dive into the story of one of the most famous and revered tree deities in all of Taiwan, the Changhua Tallow Tree King God. This tree is a true living legend.
Now, what makes this tree god so special starts with its temple. It is incredible. See, they didn't just build a temple next to the tree. They built the temple around it. This temple and tree are one design is super rare, and it means worshipers can walk right inside and touch the massive trunk. You can literally feel the powerful, living presence of the deity itself.
But the king god isn't just old. Its story is built on 4 incredible legends that have really cemented its superstar status. We're talking about a supernatural alarm system, a connection to an actual emperor, its role as a spiritual godfather, and it even plays host to another one of Taiwan's most important deities.
The most famous legend, the one everyone knows, is its power to save lives. Picture this. The village is right next to a river that used to flood constantly. Locals swear that before disaster, the tree's trunk would start to emit this mysterious, ethereal red glow. It was a divine signal, a supernatural alarm from the king god, giving everyone precious time to evacuate. It wasn't just a tree, it was a lifesaver. The connection gets even more personal with this beautiful godchildren ritual. For generations, local families have brought their young children to the temple to become the king god's chiza, or godchildren. They believe the tree's powerful life force will protect the child from harm. And every single year on the god's birthday, they all come back to renew that spiritual bond. The tree is, quite literally, a member of the family. And if that wasn't impressive enough, this tree god is a VIP in the divine world. I mean, get this. During Taiwan's largest annual religious event, the Dajia Mazu pilgrimage, the king god's temple is the very first major stop after the procession crosses into Changhua. Mazu, the goddess of the sea, actually rests here. That is a massive honor. It shows just how respected the king god is. Only a truly powerful local guardian is worthy of hosting such an important guest. So, all these amazing stories and ancient beliefs,
Why do they still matter so much today, in a super modern, high-tech society? Well, the answer is that these guardians have evolved. They've taken on new and equally important roles for the 21st century.
To really get it, you have to look beyond just the religious worship itself. These trees have become powerful symbols of something much, much broader.
For one thing, they've become these incredible living classrooms for environmental education. Because they're considered sacred, these ancient trees are fiercely protected. In a world of rapid urbanization, this belief system becomes a natural force for conservation, preserving vital green spaces and teaching a powerful lesson about coexisting with nature. And maybe most importantly, they are still the living, breathing heart of the community. They serve as these anchors of cultural memory. They preserve local identity through all the stories we've just heard, and through the annual festivals that bring everyone together year after year. So, really, the Great Tree God tradition is this perfect blend of the past and the present. It ensures the conservation of these natural treasures, it strengthens community bonds through shared rituals, and it keeps local history alive by passing these incredible legends from one generation to the next. It really makes you think, doesn't it? Whether it's an old building, a park, or even a special tree, what living landmarks in your own neighborhood hold the memories and guard the stories of your community? Something to think about.